Okay, let's do a quick round of introductions. So Eric, VP of Partnerships at Rebuy. Over to you, Jeremy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy. I am a Principal Customer Success Manager at Klaviyo.
And I'm Marissa. I am Director of CRM, Retention, and Lifecycle Marketing. I know that's a mouthful, at eHouse.
Good morning. Jon Knott, Director of Ecosystem Partnerships at Tapcart. Thanks to the Rebuy team for having us. Appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's go over to you, Marissa. So you've had an awesome journey. So started at Attentive, you're now at eHouse. eHouse has been on its own journey as well to create a better experience and outcome for your customers. Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how it shaped how you approach creating a personalized experience?
Yeah, so I actually got my start in MarTech at Klaviyo. So I was at Klaviyo for about 3 years. I was at Attentive for a year and then came into the agency space. So I've kind of seen both sides of the fence, which is always an interesting perspective. I think it's a bit of a unique perspective as well, because I started learning the technology and then learned the industry. So yeah, it's been awesome to give me some perspective, but working with eHouse, we actually started out as 4 smaller agencies. So I was part of a small agency called Commerce 12, and then we combined with eHouse, VL Omni, Pointer Creative to all create what eHouse is today. So we have a few different parts of the business that deal with really their area of expertise, but ultimately the goal is to make sure that it's a unified experience across all of our customers. So making sure that the retention side of the house, which is me, is talking to digital infrastructure and talking to the integrations iPaaS team and talking to the creative side of the house. So I think being able to touch all of those different parts of a client's business and having that perspective has really helped us shape how we have these conversations. And we want to make sure that when we're recommending platforms and we're recommending what we should do, we're taking into account how that would affect the business rather than just saying like, hey, we want a partnership, we want to make a deal, we want to do this. We're really partnering to make sure that we're treating their business like it's our business. We want to make sure that we think of everything without not thinking about their bottom line, essentially, at the end of the day. But yeah, I think being able to be on the partnership side from like an agency perspective and having that background coming from the platforms, I understand what's important to both at this point. So it's really given me the perspective to say, hey, I understand this is what we're supposed to do, this is what's recommended, here's how we can kind of adapt that to fit you and make it a little bit more personal.
Okay, awesome. So we'll come back to this, but eHouse has been an OG agency partner of Rebuy's for probably 4 or 5 years. Work closely with Aaron, so just appreciate the bet you've made on Rebuy. And I think at this point we're well into the hundreds of brands that we've worked together on. So just appreciate the partnership. And then we'll be sharing a specific example here later in this panel that Marissa helped implement. So excited for that.
Yeah, we recommend Rebuy in like 90% of our deals, I think, if Felipe can keep me honest there. But yeah, you guys are definitely one of our top that we always talk to.
Yeah, so it's fun to create personalized experiences with your clients. Okay, so Jon, over to you with Tapcart. So you're relaunching App Studio 2.0. I think we were one of the first apps, if not the first app, with the original App Studio. So yeah, could you talk a little bit about what that is all about and how Rebuy fits?
Yeah. So, mobile commerce personalization, obviously, it's informed by data and it doesn't live in a silo. So we take all of the relevant Shopify data and we take data that we're collecting from zero party that's obviously living inside of CDPs and ESPs like Klaviyo, and we package it into a truly like one-to-one experience for merchants. So if you're on the app, if you're getting any sort of product recommendation or gift with purchase experience, that's being informed by all of the Rebuy blocks that are set up inside of that. And so it's really, we have 200 plus mutual customers with Rebuy that are leveraging all of those intelligent personalization moments to drive ultimately, to conversions. And so that's just one example, obviously. Another example that comes to mind is with Shopify Markets, right? So if you're a customer shopping in Paris or if you're a customer shopping in Chicago, like I am, you're going to get localization based on your region for currency and for language, right? These are just a few examples of how you're getting a tailored experience. And I think ultimately, another example is bridging the gap between the online and the in-store. So if you're let's say you're shopping with Windsor, which is a customer of ours, and you're inside of the app and you're looking for the nearest store, you're going to be able to use geolocation data that's living inside of Klaviyo or another ESP to be able to see where the nearest store is that you're able to go into. Or let's say I'm just walking, I'm shopping with some of my friends, and I'm within half a mile, a fourth of a mile from a brick and mortar store. I'm able to get a personalized message that says, hey, we realize that you're actually nearby. Here's a tailored offer. Here's a reason and an incentive to come into the store to be able to shop. So that's the exciting part of the app, is that we're able to really bridge the online and the in-store and provide that like true one-to-one experience. But App Studio, zooming out, is our new platform that we just launched. Again, Rebuy was a big part of that relaunch. We've consistently iterated, Strauss can attest, over the past couple of years to consistently be delivering new Rebuy value into our apps for customers. So whether it be on the homepage, PDP, the cart, our new post-purchase page that we've just launched recently, Rebuy ads coming soon. So we'll definitely continue to invest, and that really helps us provide a tailored experience that ends up converting.
Okay, cool. Jon may have got a sneak peek on that announcement last night. So
only a couple hours early, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you worked that in. And yeah, very excited to take all of those announcements and work with them, work with our partners on them to incorporate that into what we're doing. So very excited. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. So our MSMs work closely together. So Tapcart's merchant success managers, Rebuy's merchant success managers. Why are they excited to bring Rebuy in? And I know it happens a lot, so.
Yeah, so I manage all of our tech integrations, our product partnerships at Tapcart. One of my favorite parts of the job, I have a couple. One is integration adoption as a non-contest too. I'm incredibly passionate about making sure we're extracting the value of customers that are leveraging our platforms collectively. We work really closely with all the partners on stage. So we have 1,100 mutual customers with Klaviyo, for example. And we not only work cross-collaboratively, pre-sales and post-sales to make sure we're aligned on how best to drive value for customers, but we're also working to make sure that we're aligned on how best to communicate to customers, how best to align on what would be good to iterate with on the integration front. So it helps us be able to be less in silos and be a bit more collaborative about how we're driving outcomes for merchants.
Love that. So it'll come out tomorrow in the partner track, but the adoption that we see with both Tapcart and Klaviyo, one is awesome. Two, we are generating revenue together for all of you. And so if you haven't seen this, definitely check that out. Okay, let's move over. Jeremy with Klaviyo. So you guys have been doing a lot as well with the CRM.
Yeah.
So do you want to jump in there and talk to us about what Klaviyo is doing with personalization?
Yeah. So I don't think anyone in the room here doesn't know Klaviyo, but this year we've made a huge announcement. Really, it's trying to announce ourselves as literally the B2C CRM for e-commerce space, right? And so in that we've kind of seen in our own evolution, coming from similar to you guys, your founders started, you have your data layer, your AI layers, and different layers on top of what your actual business is. Klaviyo itself started out in a similar space where it was data, then how do you organize that data? How do you action off of this? Best way was email. SMS became big. SMS came next. And across the years, I think from 2012 till today, we've found that many of our customers actually look at us as their CRM. And we as people who work or have worked at Klaviyo also see us as that. So why don't we make that actually known to everyone, make it that statement that's might sound a little bit bold, but everyone thinks of a CRM and we the first thing that comes to mind is Salesforce. And not to say that Salesforce isn't useful tool for many of the brands that actually use them, but in many cases we find that it is more of a B2B efficiency type of tool. Whereas the customers that we try to at least work with know that they're trying to understand specific individuals, their customers, right? What actions are these individuals are doing on a daily basis, right? And that's where the ecosystem that we have with the partners that we have, Tapcart, the agencies who actually use us, being able to leverage that data quickly, efficiently across the scale of what omni-channel actually is today is essentially where Klaviyo has found ourselves being the player and trying to make sure all of our customers and brands and merchants and stuff just thrive, right? If we could live in a world where everyone just thrives, how amazing would that be,
Easy.
right?
I mean, one thing to piggyback on what you said is like we allow our 1,100 mutual customers to leverage Klaviyo, right? We know that like a single source of truth with owned marketing, and you can attest to this as well. Like you want to have one place where you're orchestrating all of your own marketing, right? So being able to do email, SMS, and push all within one platform is really powerful. You can start to get smart about where you're investing and divesting, and I think we can all kind of agree that the current economic environment, like brands are a little hesitant, right? I heard many brands say yesterday that they're putting innovation on pause, right? They're nervous about how these tariffs are going to impact their bottom line, and they're looking at channel efficiency as a way to maybe be able to invest in certain channels that they are confident are going to drive the results, but would not be as expensive as some other channels. So mobile push is $0 and 0 cents, right? So if you're a brand like Opali or Aviator Nation, being able to lean into push as a meaningful part of your retention strategy is a really smart way to weather the storm over the next, uncertainty amount of time.
And if I can jump in here too.
Please do.
I feel like especially with Klaviyo and like Jon was just saying about the unified experience and being able to see SMS, email, push notifications, all of these things kind of within one place. I mean, when I'm coming in as an agency, I'm auditing your account and I'm trying to see where there are areas of opportunity, what recommendations I can make to be able to have a really clear picture of what your customers are seeing on their phones, in their inboxes, and seeing that kind of all outlined in one place is so unbelievably valuable. And it also really instills trust in the platform where I can say, I truthfully know every touch point that my client is going to get or my customer is going to get when they're on my website, off my website, recreating that offsite experience in your emails with Rebuy. I mean, I could go on about the Rebuy Klaviyo integration, but I'm sure we'll get there. But being able to really unify that experience and have a true picture of what they're experiencing, it's more important now than ever. The other part too, is being able to get the most out of the platforms that you have and making those platforms integrate and work together. I think people are looking to make the most of what they have in terms of retention and keeping the customers that they already have. Elevating the experiences that they're creating for these customers is more important now than ever. Acquiring new customers is really expensive already. We can already imagine it's going to get worse, unfortunately. But being able to make those experiences really strong with people that already know you, trust you, and really personalize it as much as possible. Klaviyo, Tapcart, apps that are able to work together, it's invaluable. You really can't even describe how important it is to be able to get that full picture.
Yeah, so I'm going to highlight one piece of that and then kick it back to you for the implementation that you recently did. So with Klaviyo, we try to be first at the right things as often as we can. So with Klaviyo, we were also first with using their OAuth, so you can OAuth into the Klaviyo environment. One of the first to build on the APIs. We're also one of the first apps to pull Klaviyo data into the website experience. Jon touched on this with smart flows, but today in the rules engine, you can select specific Klaviyo segments that informs how the website is personalized and what products are recommended. So very excited about that. We see adoption growing very rapidly with that. So excited to do more of that with all of you. And I think that's a great segue to go back to the recent merchant that you implemented with Rebuy and Klaviyo.
So we work with a merchant called Live Healthily. Check them out; they're great. They work in all clean skincare, and they even do everything from like toothpaste. Really, just clean living is kind of their whole motto. So we had worked with them. They were actually the ones that told me about the Rebuy Klaviyo integration, because up until then I wasn't fully aware of how those two channels can kind of work together. So working with Live Healthily, we started by implementing the product recommendations that are coming from those data sources that are built out in Rebuy and pushing those into our Klaviyo emails. So it started out with just a post-purchase saying, hey, you might also like after you bought products that go along with that. But we took it one step further and also plugged it into the browse abandonment, checkout abandonment, all of these really high intent automations and giving prescriptive recommendations for things that they might also like. This client, since we've implemented it into the browse abandonment flow and we're constantly building it out, constantly kind of iterating on it, they've seen a 5% lift month over month looking at implementing this versus using just standard recommendations of what they think people will like. It's really creating those smarter decisions and smarter recommendations for them so that it looks like we know what we're talking about when recommending these products. It's not just saying, hey, you bought toothpaste, you might like shampoo. Probably not. If you bought toothpaste, let me recommend this awesome, healthy dental floss. Like things like that you can build out those relationships between products and continue that off-site. You see it in your cart, you see it on the website, but what happens after you leave? Being able to create that connection between the on and off-site experience, even through those product recommendations. Like I said, the lift has been speaking for itself, to be completely honest. Something else that we're looking to test out with them that we're just getting started with is creating those individual experiences on site and being able to say, hey, this is my segment of people, because they actually also use KDP. So we have some RFM segments that we've created of our loyalists and our champions that are really, really bought into the brand, and personalizing the messaging for them to let them know how much we appreciate them and say, hey, thanks for coming back, or this is your X number of purchases, 2 more to get to the next tier of loyalty. Like all of these things that we can do to really make the customer that's shopping with us feel important, feel seen, and know that they're not just purchasing because they saw something on a website. We recommended that. We followed up with the recommendations and we kept the messaging consistent across the board. Has been really, really powerful for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great story. And we aspire to be the most integrated personalization platform, and I think that really speaks to that. I think we are the most integrated, and obviously the market continues to move, and we're working hard to stay ahead of the market. Okay, let's do a lightning round quickly. Jeremy, I'm going to start with you.
Hit me.
Okay, so one underrated moment in the customer journey for personalization.
Ooh. Underrated moment in the customer journey. I would say site abandonment.
Okay.
So in my use case, as far as what I see for a lot of like the customers tend to focus on setting up the basics, which is great.
Yeah,
like get your welcome series going, get your abandoned carts, sunset, when flag flows, automations in place for like using other like features as well. Great. But the one like underlying like area that I think I see for like customers, and it's actually very, very clearly visible if you just look at the metrics under like Klaviyo's metrics. You'll see we have a metric specifically for visitors that we have within the Klaviyo ecosystem that visit the website. But then if you take a look at what the next part of the funnel would be, which would essentially would assume and be viewing a product, there's a huge drop off from like those individuals. And so being able to like action comms, whether it's like push notifications or emails, SMSs, retargeted ads like through other platforms, like for those individuals that are dropping off, so that you could at least bring them back to the site to do something. Like, don't just come to my house and not ring the doorbell, right? Like, you want them to actually like at least do something, because in doing something, Klaviyo or the ecosystem of partners that you actually have learn something from them. And so like if we are able to at least get that margin that you have from people who are visiting the site, having GA sessions, just tally up as much as you possibly can, versus the people that you start to see go further and down the funnel, then you can do 2 things. One, learn more so that you can understand more from like your actual ecosystem of customers, or just in general browsers at this point, right? And then 2, learn more because of how you actually get to now A/B test on actioning on what you want to see happen with those people, right? I can't tell you what to do with those people, but I can advise you what would be a good idea to at least try and test out. We actually do this, like, I work for all my clients in my book are enterprise like level clients. So a lot of them are just big box brands. Some of them are not as big entities that have been here for like 40, 50 years, right? But some of them are actually, like True Classic was formerly like one of my brands that I actually managed as well. And this is something that you just point out to any of the brands, whether you're large or small, and it makes an impact on what you can do or produce as far as like Klaviyo attributed revenue, as well as like what Rebuy and Tapcart can actually do, just as far as like making sure that your customers are getting like their worth, right?
It's great, and we'll help personalize the experience once they come back. So, okay, awesome, Marissa. Same question.
Yeah, I was honestly thinking of my answer as you were talking, Jeremy. Sorry.
I'm sorry if I threw you off.
No, you're totally fine. I was like, I would comment on that too. I think just to honestly call out the updated integration between Shopify and Klaviyo with the new viewed collection events, what they searched for events, like really being able to touch on different points or even just using that information to create segments later. I know we have like product affinity segments that we do. If you viewed a particular product or started checkout with it, now looking if they viewed that collection or if they searched for something within those terms really just makes it that much more personalized to tailor the material to something that they want. But I would say the biggest, I guess, what was the exact, was it missed opportunity or like underrated
moment?
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a gripe with abandoned checkout versus abandoned cart. And they are two very different experiences and everyone calls them the same thing. Abandoned cart, add to cart is what triggers it. Abandoned checkout, they start checkout. I feel like the thought is that they can be kind of interchangeable, but they're two very different points in the customer journey where someone has cookied themselves in some way, whether they clicked on an email, signed up on a sign-up form, we're seeing they add an item to their cart. Did they ever make it to checkout? If they didn't, that follow-up looks a little bit different than someone who actually did make it to checkout and just didn't enter their payment information. What is their biggest hang-up? What's the hold-up between getting to that point in actually starting checkout and addressing some of those objections? So I think a lot of people do a really great job at really talking about like the price objection and offering like a 15% off or something like that. But I think there's more to it, especially in that add to cart piece. What are your main objections? Answer them and get to them before they actually completely forget that they added that item to their cart and address them quickly. So.
It's great.
I want to double down on that for everyone, any brands in the audience. Very, very drastic difference in metrics. Added to cart, start at checkout. If you don't have it set up, I would highly recommend you write into chat at Klaviyo and see what they can do to help you get that set up ASAP.
Update your Shopify integration with Klaviyo. It gives you all the metrics that I'm talking about. You used to have to do it manually with add to cart. Now it comes natively. So even if you're not ready to set up the flow, set up the integration so you can start building that data and getting those data points flying ASAP so you can start to make segments based on those metrics and then eventually set up your flow when you're ready.
It's great. Thank you. Okay, Jon.
Yeah, I'd say post-purchase for us specifically inside of the app. I think the app experience for us, and we've been around for 7 years, right? So our product has obviously grown and evolved over time. And it's been primarily until maybe a year and a half ago focused on conversion, like discovery and conversion for your most loyal customers. And now with the App Studio, we've really made a focus on the entire customer experience, specifically around post-purchase. So think about being able to send order tracking information via push to bring customers back into the app, or sending community-based messages to bring customers back into the app. Like it's your most loyal customer cohort, right? Like we see 30 to 40% of a brand's customers are inside of the app. And so being able to optimize the experience for that cohort has been really successful for us. And I'm really excited to add the post-purchase element to the mix. We've just rolled out order tracking through Shopify and also through AfterShip. Return solutions are coming pretty soon as well. But again, I think just ways that folks can differentiate the app experience. We see, again, brands like Aviator Nation, Opali, like they're releasing collections and products inside of the app up to 48 hours early, right? This is like some of the ways that brands are starting to think, okay, how can I not only reward my most loyal customers inside of the app, but with early access, but also be able to incentivize customers who are not app customers yet to download the app, right? Like what's the carrot that's going to get them into what is going to become your highest LTV channel? And that's really what we see. Like we see the app is across 90% of our merchants, and Lauren, one of our CSMs, is in the audience, and she can agree with me. They have the highest conversion rate of any channel. The segment of customers inside of the app has the highest AOV of most any channel, and ultimately the highest lifetime value as well. So anything you can do to incentivize them to get into the app experience is going to be a net positive. So excited that the post-purchase piece can be the fuller picture and not be so focused just on the discovery and conversion funnel.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of themes across the funnel. So user acquisition with ads and much more, the on-site experience and the retention. So excited to build this together. Excited about what we've done in the past, but more excited about what we have in the future, and work with all of you to help grow your revenue. So thank you very much for the time and the insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.